Welcome to the Moral Courage Podcast, lessons from the study of Rabbi Harold M. Schulweis of blessed memory, a podcast addressing today's trends and headlines through interviews and conversations with Jewish leaders, inspired by the works of Rabbi Harold M. Schulweis that make Jewish wisdom more accessible, inclusive, and relevant to today's complicated world. Our guests share their Jewish journeys and discuss how Rabbi Schulweis's wisdom provides inspiration and guidance to us today. Hosted by Rabbi Ari Averbach, Senior Rabbi at Temple Etz Chaim in Thousand Oaks, California, and board member of the Harold M. Schulweis Institute, an affiliate of Valley Beth Shalom in Encino, California.
Welcome to another episode of Moral Courage, where we look into the life and times, theology, stories of our great friend and teacher, Rabbi Harold M. Schulweis. We are so excited. Today, our guest is somebody whose career was really defined, enhanced, influenced by Rabbi Schulweis, and they worked together in actually really unique ways. We're here with Michelle Green Willner, who's an award-winning composer and conductor and educator. And if I could read her bio, we would be here for another hour because she's just done amazing things. If you want to know more, Michelle Green Willner with 2 L's.com. We'll put it up there so you can find out more. But Michelle, I'm so happy to have you here so we can talk together officially. Nice to see you.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. I really am honored and full of gratitude for you having me today. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
How did you meet Rabbi Schulweis? How did your partnership begin?
I remember it vividly. I received an email from Dr. Noreen Green, who has been so gracious with me over the years. And she emails me with, Rabbi Schulweis has a new idea. I think you would be the best person for this idea. He wants to meet with you in his office. We met back in 2011, and this new idea, this spark, this vision was to build a Jewish community children's choir connected to the Schulweis Institute. And I met him in his office. This was the first time I was meeting Rabbi Schulweis. I was so impressed. I felt like I was in the presence of a soaring mind.
Yeah.
He was truly generous, curious, and deeply committed to community. And what struck me right away was the sense of achdut, meaning that he did not care about the sameness. He cared about people and their differences. Their different backgrounds, their different beliefs, their different musical tastes. And he thought that people like that could come together and form something beautiful, something harmonious, just like instruments in a symphony or voices in a choir. And I remember thinking that this is someone who not only dreams, we all come up with ideas, we all come up with some new path, some new episode that we want to get off the ground, but we don't really get to the finish line. We think about it, we might not get there. And Rabbi Schulweis was someone who really acts upon his dreams and his visions. And he had that determination saying to me, let's make this happen. And that determination and support really opened the door to the LA Jewish Community Children's Choir. And also at that moment, he gave me his poetry books and he inscribed them for Michelle in friendship and high regard. And I still treasure that.
Can you say more about the JCCC?
Sure. So Rabbi Schulweis came up with our tagline, which was a community that sings together, stays together. And the idea of the Jewish Community Children's Choir is to inspire Jewish children from diverse backgrounds to understand, celebrate, and represent their Jewish heritage through song. And we do that in a number of ways. Socially, we're hoping that they will build friendships over the community. Educationally, we want them to take from the texts that they are learning, the lyrics that they are learning, and learn about the events of the moment. And we talk a lot about that in choir. And musically, I want them to obviously sing well, to learn how to read music, to perform with professionalism. And then personally, the idea is to really boost their self-esteem. I have a lot of stories about that, to cultivate discipline, to realize that it is a team that we're developing, and to give them a sense of responsibility to the wider community.
Where are they coming from? How far geographically?
We have kids coming from Lawndale, Santa Monica, Sherman Oaks, Topanga Canyon, Beverly Hills, Hollywood.
Wow. Just knowing LA geography and traffic patterns, it's quite a commitment for them and their parents to really come together. Where are the concerts?
So the concerts are also across Los Angeles. I mean, we've performed from an audience of 100 to 20,000 at Staples Center.
Oh my gosh. Wait, how'd you do Staples? What's that story?
They got in touch with us to open with the anthems for LA Clippers games, and we did that for 3 or 4 years in a row. And then we also got a call for the LA Kings game. And I have to tell you, I am not a sports person. And when I came in for the rehearsal, and it's a lot of commitment because you have to be there for quite a few hours. They want everything to look perfect. When you come in, the lights are on, and the basketball court, it's not huge. So I looked at the basketball court and I'm like, this is not such a big deal. We've sung on bigger stages than this. But I have to tell you that once the lights go down and you see, 20,000 people there and the music, and
Sure.
It was quite exciting, really exciting. Now, the LA Kings game is something that I'll remember because it was the day after, I think, the Tree of Life tragedy.
Yeah.
And what really struck me was before we started to sing, the announcer, who usually just says, and here's the Jewish Community Children's Choir to sing the national anthem. Instead of that, he said, let's take a moment of silence and think about those who perished in the Tree of Life tragedy. And I really felt goosebumps when the kids started to sing, and they felt it too. It was really quite moving. And to hear the applause afterward from such a diverse audience, that was really moving. We need that now.
Sure. We could really use that. What's the parents' feedback from everything?
The parents have been amazing. I mean, first of all, they volunteer to help in the choir. And second of all, they will send feedback to me after every single event or anything that really moved them. I keep all their words, and if you visit the website, you can even read a lot of these quotes. The website for the kids choir is jewishchildrenschoir.com. here's a little quote from one of the parents after one of the events. Thank you for directing our children so beautifully that their performances brought tears of joy to our eyes. We feel so fortunate to have you in our children's lives, and you can't imagine the joy you have brought to our lives through music. I feel as though my girls have found through song a new and liberating form of expression, and that means the world to me.
It's got to feel good to get a note like that.
Oh, yes. Unbelievable. It's part of what keeps you going.
Was Rabbi Schulweis involved, or he kind of set the ball rolling through Noreen, and then it was your vision? And what was his involvement like?
We did. We spoke about the choir from time to time. We also performed in front of him many times. One of them was this 90th birthday celebration, for example, which was very, very meaningful. I ended up writing a song which included words from one of his sermons that I found. To be a Jew is to think big. To be a Jew is to think globally. To be a Jew is to act globally. To be a Jew is to love God, who is global. The kids learned a new song to sing for him, and those words really touched me because they're really a part of the vision, that we were trying to create. And following, you talk about what the parents' feedback was, but following this concert, he sent a deeply touching letter thanking me for Judaic and aesthetic talents he wrote. And he wrote, but what mattered most was my recognition that the children were carrying my vision forward. The open-hearted recitations of the youngsters sparked smiles of joy in the enthusiastic audience, in my family, and in myself.
Oh, wow.
So isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. And any highlight stories from the choir?
Sure. There are many stories, but I'll share with you a few.
Yeah.
One is, now he's a lot older, and he hopefully will join the Michelle Green Willner singer. So what's happened with the group is the children's choir, there was a group of children's choir who didn't want to leave the choir, even though they were getting older. So I created a chamber choir for those kids that were kind of getting, too old to be with the little kids. And they would sing more complicated music and also be featured in concerts on their own. And then I built, I decided, well, once they get to college, they're too old for that. So the Michelle Green Willner Singers includes some alumni from the group, as well as some parents of some of the kids in the group. So that's really a beautiful thing. So this boy, when he was little, his name is Lev, and he came to me. He was a young Russian child. He had no Jewish cultural background. He knew no Hebrew.
Wow.
And one day I gave him a solo for the first time. He stood in front of 500 people and sang that Hebrew so confidently, so beautifully.
Oh.
His parents burst into tears, and they said to me, "We can't believe this is our child, singing in Hebrew, learning about his Jewish heritage, and finding himself in his music." So that was Lev. Then I have another memory. We would sing for a lot of senior citizen homes, and at one of them, for the Jewish Home for the Aged, the director came up to me and she said half jokingly, "You don't understand. Usually they're asleep after 10 minutes and you kept them awake for an hour and a half." So that's
pretty good.
Yes. And then thirdly, if I can share with you a story, his name was Mr. Leslie Klein, Zichrono Livracha, a Holocaust survivor. Now, I didn't know that he was a Holocaust survivor. A parent had brought him to a rehearsal, And he sat in the corner and he listened quietly. And we, at that time, were preparing for one of our Holocaust performances at the Museum of Tolerance. And when we finished a piece, he approached me. He was so overwhelmed. He took his credit card out of his wallet and he said, "Please take my credit card and support the choir in any way that you see fit."
What?
I said, "Mr. Klein," I didn't know him. I said, "Mr. Klein, I'm so sorry. I can't accept this, but would you do me the kindness of sharing a story with the children during the break?" And during the break, he indeed told us that the singing reminded him of his sister, who sang in a choir before she and his parents were murdered in the Holocaust.
Wow.
And the room was silent, and the children really felt the weight of the moment and the beauty, of what music can hold and how they can share it with others, and how it's not only affecting them, but it's affecting who's listening. Beautiful moments.
And did Rabbi Schulweis come to the concerts?
He came to a few of them. So when we did a concert for the Jewish World Watch, for the Humanitarian Awards back then, and then for some concerts at Valley Bet Shalom. Yes, he was there. I would love to tell you a little bit beyond Rabbi Schulweis what the support meant for the choir.
Yeah.
Because I call these concentric circles of support, where Rabbi Schulweis was at the center. And then we had people from the Schulweis Institute who I had never met before. Sylvia Bernstein-Tregall.
Mm-hmm.
She was, and she still is, the president of the Schulweis Institute. She became such an incredible, till this day, advisor and mentor. I call these people angels that fall from the sky, and you didn't know at the time that you needed their help, but then they appear. And she has been an angel to me. She is so generous of spirit. She guided me through every single practical step, especially at the beginning: how to form a board, how to handle the accounting, build a logo, navigate the nonprofit status. She was there every step of the way. And her husband, Bert, Zichrono Livracha, was such a warm presence. He was always encouraging. They came to a lot of the concerts. And sometimes his smile meant everything. They, as a couple, also became very close to my family personally. And then there were the Gills, who helped out in the earliest days. And what about, which I just learned, was your father, Zane Haverback.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that that was your father.
Oh, sure.
But your father helped us countless volunteer hours to get that nonprofit status.
Oh, wow.
So I went to his office
Yeah.
with other people from the board, and he just sat down with us and had all the paperwork ready. I will never forget that,
Oh,
honestly.
wow. Yeah.
There was Bill Green, who helped get our presence on the website. So many people that came into that circle. And then beyond that circle was, of course, the community of singers. Beyond that, we had all the people that we were collaborating with, either the professional musicians or all the chazanim from around the city. I have to say, Cantor Marcus Feldman, who really has supported us in a big way throughout the years, singing at many concerts with us.
Wow.
That's where we're having our upcoming Hanukkah concert on December 17th at Sinai Temple. All the synagogues that became really wonderful partners with us, the Jewish Family Service, Celebrate Israel, all these wonderful partnerships that strengthened the whole. I do have to mention one other angel that fell out of the sky. So I am one of the Helfman composers. Have you heard of that group?
Sure.
At one of our concerts way back, it was a concert about Shabbat, and I had a piece called Lecha Dodi on the program. It was a big audience. During the break, somebody came over to me. Her name is Sandra Capon. And it turns out Sandra sang in my Yiddish chorus years ago. She comes up to me and says, well, I read your bio in the program, and I heard the music, and I want to help with the children's choir as much as I can on a volunteer basis.
Wow.
Here I haven't seen her in years, and she came out of the woodwork, and Sandra, till this day, helps with grant writing for the choir.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. You know, you have to be really grateful for people giving of their time and helping you.
With all these angels, has there been anything that has been challenging to you? Anything standing in your way?
Yes, for sure. I mean, just beginning was challenging because I had to learn a lot of new things.
How to run a nonprofit, how to organize people, how to deal with.
Exactly. And I'm still learning.
Sure. Aren't we all?
Still learning. But I have to say COVID, as for everybody, was a big, big challenge, because what are you going to do about singing?
Yeah.
So
right, you can't really harmonize on Zoom.
On Zoom. But I did continue to have Zoom rehearsals, and I decided that instead of harmony, which you're absolutely correct, you can't work on, I decided to work on the strength of each individual singer. So I took time to listen to each singer, and also because I wanted them to develop this virtual concert, we worked on facial expression and how to get your message through with your face, with your gestures, your smiles, your eyes. And that's really what I concentrated on with them. And I think they did such a beautiful job. If you look on the website, you can download and you can hear their entire virtual concert, which is, I think they did a wonderful job.
How many kids are in the choir at any given time?
Well, it depends. Every year, I would say, is different. We came up to maybe 52 at one point, but every single year is different. I feel that right now we are trying to get it back again, because there has been, since COVID, it's been difficult to get more kids involved, and maybe also because of anti-Semitism and security and things like that parents are thinking about. So that's been a bit of a challenge too.
Yeah, we're all facing those kinds of things. So what's your path to music and choir?
Well, that's a great question. I kind of think about myself in my career coming from multiple points of view. I'm first a composer, But choir has given me a real sense of purpose because I'm really an immersive Jewish composer. I love Jewish stories. I love setting Jewish texts. It's where I feel most alive. I love taking apart a nigun or a folk song, and I call myself a compositional explorer. I take it apart and I see what I can do with it. My own background was that I grew up in Toronto, and my parents went to Beth Tikva Synagogue, if you've ever heard of it. And at that time, it was under the spiritual leadership of Rabbi Dr. Avraham Feder, who was a big influence on my life. And as well, there was a wonderful composer there, Sroul Irving Glick. And I would listen to the choir at Shul, and then I would come home and try and figure out what they had just sung. And then I started to form my own choirs. I went to Community Hebrew Academy of Toronto, CHAT, and I ran the choir there during lunch period. And then when I got to University of Toronto for my undergrad degree, Hillel hired me to begin a university Jewish choir, which became Tehillah. And I did that for 10 years. And students came from University of Toronto, York University, the colleges. Many people met through the choir. They had babies in the choir. It was really, really a beautiful social thing. And that's how I began.
And then how do you mix spirituality and music?
So it's interesting. Some people feel that music can become your religion. And someone actually said that to me when I was young after a concert. They came over to me and said, be careful. Music is going to become your religion. But for me, actually, it's always been the opposite. My faith has really informed my music. It's not the other way around. This past year, I've been mourning the loss of my father. With that, the connection has deepened even further. I wrote a piece as part of another Helfman composer concert called Walking with Intimacy, in which I took a Yiddish folk tune. Sometimes my father would take me for a walk after Friday night dinner. And beyond talking about the week, he would break out in this folk tune that he loved. He was a Holocaust survivor. And so I took that very folk tune, Shabbos Zol Zayin, and I created an accompaniment for it with pizzicato strings, string quartet accompaniment, which is the plucked strings give this buoyancy and very joyful, so that one is rejoicing in the walk and in the talk. And so, yeah, I feel that spirituality is really a deep part of who I am.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but you mentioned Rabbi Schulweis's poetry. Are there any poems of his that you go back to, that you look at, that you try to figure out how do you make this into a piece of music? You did the one, but are there others that you're going like, or others that you've listened to, Ami Aloni or Cantor Raffi, who have turned it into music, and you go, oh, what an interesting take?
So I've tried to look at them for the children's choir.
Yeah.
Because they are so deep. I mean, aside from that piece that we did for his birthday, and I'm talking about a classical composition, but this year, because I've been, saying Kaddish, and the Kaddish has become so important to me, I have been looking back at Rabbi Schulweis's poetry because he wrote a lot about Kaddish, about Yizkor, remembrance, loss, and there are two lines that really did something to me. Those two lines are, it is the dignity of the soul to hold on to the past. It is the dignity of the spirit to take hold of the future. And within the Kaddish itself, you get the sense of past, present, and future from the words. And your whole journey during the year is about past, present, and future. You start the year in deep grief. You're immersed in your memories, your shared memories, but you're supported by the community who are hopefully answering amen to your Kaddish. And so the community is supposed to carry that through for you. And so you're within the present, you're thinking about the past. And then as your year almost comes to a close, which mine is coming to a close, you feel this gentle turn toward the future. That and ending with the Oseh Shalom, where you're actually praying for peace for the future. So you go through all those stages from God's creation to our world to a future hope for peace. You feel like you're going through all the stages, even within the Kaddish. I keep feeling like I used to FaceTime with my father twice a day. So now I feel like I'm still FaceTiming with Dad and God through Kaddish. And I try to say his name to myself before every Kaddish that I say, just to keep it there.
Wow, we're jumping the gun a little bit. We usually end with what's a challenging text, and it feels like that's the one. I mean, that you've come up with a drash, a chiddush, a new take on Kaddish. Growing up traditional, did women say Kaddish in your community?
My mother said Kaddish for her father, yes. And I have to say also, when I started, it just turned out I was reading a book about the biography of Henrietta Zold, To Repair a Broken World. And in the foreword who RBG wrote, but also within the book, I didn't even know this, that Henrietta Zold herself, she was offered by a friend to take over Kaddish when she lost, I think it was her mother. And she said, no, thank you to the friend. I'm going to do it myself because I want to uphold my family's traditions. And for me to be in that same place at that same time was really quite something, because saying it as a woman is a bit of a challenge.
I love that piece. RBG wrote or published about Henrietta Zold in that moment. But what is it? That last sentence you said about being a woman and saying Kaddish is the challenge because people give you a look, because it's written in the masculine, because
yes, it's all those things. It's also, it depends where you're saying it, because at that minyan there might not be people that are used to hearing a woman say Kaddish. And you really have to hope that that word amen follows what you're saying. Listen, I don't have any brothers. My father was a Holocaust survivor. I can pay somebody, and I am paying somebody just in case I miss something. But even Rabbi Soloveitchik said that a woman saying Kaddish is more important than a stranger saying it. I believe in that wholeheartedly, and it's my way of honoring my dad.
It's one of the reasons I am a conservative rabbi. Is there's no reason that it has to be said by a man. That's not how it seems to be written anywhere historically. And it's right. It's about you remembering your dad. It's not, for me, and I know for Rabbi Schulweiss, it wasn't some mystical incantation that if we say this, if it's said a certain number of times, then there's some reward for the deceased or for us. But rather it's the reward is in itself to lift us up, to help us through this really difficult, sometimes impossible moment, and to be surrounded by 9 other people to answer amen to our prayer. This is what Judaism comes down to, is showing up for community, being there for each other, which is also part of being a choir. Is I could sing by myself in the shower or in the car, but having my voice find the right, mine doesn't, but having my voice find the right pitch and harmonize and gel and how they bounce off of each other. One of my favorite moments in services every time is when we're putting the Torah back in the Ark. And there's this big dissonant chord that just feels like, maybe dissonant's the wrong word musically, but it just feels like everybody picks a different note in this moment. And even when you're singing with people who are not trained, it still feels like, oh, listen to our voices come together. On high holidays, we're sitting in the room in our sanctuary. We're a medium-sized synagogue, but there's still 1,000 people there on Yom Kippur. And to sing Hashkivenu or a Say Shalom or Avinu Malkeinu, and hearing and I just sometimes stop singing and close my eyes and hear 1,000 voices coming together. And that's so powerful. And people come up to me afterwards and say they cried during those moments because they felt the community, which is so different than being alone.
I have to tell you, that's beautiful. That at the end of Yom Kippur, first of all, now I have sons that are leading, that they are both, and two of them have, one is finished Smicha, one's on the way to finishing. But we were with them for the Chagim in New York, and I am a mess at the end of Yom Kippur. Everything comes out of me. It's just, all those, because if you know the texts and you're really thinking about what we're all going through personally through the community, it's hard not to get that emotional. It's really, I find it very hard. I have to say that what you said, there's this other quote that I just read. I read this book called The Book of Lost Friends. And there was a quote in there that said, "We die once when the last breath leaves our bodies. We die a second time when the last person speaks our name." And I was thinking about this quote and thinking, well, in Judaism, we prevent the second death because we have Kaddish and we have Yortzeit and we have Yizkor. And so, we are attuned to remember and to speak their names and to keep them alive. So I thought, how beautiful is Judaism that we have that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's also, just on that topic, there's a book called Sum, S-U-M, by Dr. David Eagleman. He's a neuroscientist or something. And it's just 40 takes on the afterlife. None of them religious. This isn't like Buddhists believe this and Jews believe that. Just 40 imaginative understandings of the afterlife. And that's one of them that he shares is, and then picturing that waiting room of if you're Shakespeare, if you're Einstein, if you're Moses, and how long are you waiting in this waiting room? And at first it feels good to have people saying your name. It's just an interesting take on that. Yeah, it's just a fun, they're each 2 pages. It's a fun little read. Any personal stories of Rabbi Schulweis, that first meeting with him and this intimidating man, or just anytime, maybe in connection to music?
He was so glowing. Even after, I remember our first concert was at Milken, because that's where we were rehearsing just that first year, because we thought that we'd get from the valley into the city, that would be a good middle spot to rehearse.
Right.
We had 8 kids, and Rabbi Schulweis came to the concert, and he was so glowing and overwhelmed afterward. And I'm thinking in my mind, but there were only 8 children. He said, "You don't understand. It's what you taught them. That's why I'm glowing."
To take this idea, it was just a seed, it was just an idea, and it's now turned into anything. Great that it's 8 kids is better. It was 0 a couple of weeks ago when it was just a seedling, and I found the right people to launch it. It's pretty incredible. Any favorite musical moments? Or maybe another one is, you mentioned Lev, and now you're continuing choir. Any other kids who did something interesting that you know of after the choir, after their time in the children's choir?
Well, I know that a few have decided to become cantors, which is wonderful. I know that many of them have gone to music school, which is great. One girl, she went afterward with our repertoire and performed on her own at many senior citizen.
That's sweet.
That's very sweet. So there are little moments like that. But in terms of, if I can go back to your first part, which is a memorable musical moment. So this past summer, I was invited to give the Judy Franco Memorial Concert for SCJS, which stands for the Society of Crypto-Judaic Studies.
Oh, wow.
They have a national conference. And this past summer, it was in Los Angeles. So it turned out that I had presented during COVID a piece of mine on Zoom for the Jewish Heritage Alliance and the Anu Museum, which is in Tel Aviv. And I presented this piece which dealt with the expulsions from Spain. So the conference reached out to me, would I be interested in presenting that again in some way, as either a Zoom lecture or just, even just discussing it as a lecture. And I said to them, that piece, I'm actually working on it. I've extended it to be part of an opera, which is called La Signora. And it's actually about Donna Gracia Nassi.
Yeah.
Who was a famous, businesswoman, philanthropist, who dreamt of Tveria and who helped save so many converso Jews. And they went crazy that this is what I was doing. They thought it was marvelous, especially for the crypto-Judaic society. So I ended up putting together a concert and a lecture about La Signora. And I involved kids, and I involved the adults and alumni, and then professional singers, a few professional musicians. And it was done at the Sephardic Temple. Now, I have to tell you, because going back to my dad, the time that I was signing the contract for this event was the same week that I was in Toronto, and we didn't know what would happen with Dad. And I called my Rabbi Elazar Muskin, and I said, Rabbi Muskin, what should I do? It's music. Should I be signing this contract? What am I going to do with it? What do you recommend? And he just said, Michelle, you have to do it. And I really have to give him hakarat tov. I really have to thank him, because I worked on that for 8 months until August. The whole return to composing, to researching heavily this whole topic, it really brought me out of my grief. And it just, goes to show you what music can do for anyone. Actually, in the last movement, I put in 3 knocks on a wood block, which is what I've been hearing in Minyan, because whenever they want to add, special prayer on Rosh Chodesh, whatever,
like a reminder.
And so I put that in, at the last movement when Donna Gracia passes.
I love hearing those stories, how like perhaps West Side Story starts with a shofar blast. Exactly. Things like that.
Exactly.
With all of these successes, what are you looking forward to now?
Right now, I'm working on extending a commission from the Composers Conference. It's titled Kochavim, Stars. And I'll tell you a little bit of the story, where it comes from, because this also gives you an idea of another person who was my mentor and professor at Columbia University. His name was Professor Davidovsky. And Mario Davidovsky was someone who also, in which Achdut was also clear. In this story, I was part of the Composers Conference. They have a summer festival. And I was supposed to conduct on the Saturday night program. Professor Davidovsky knew that I was, someone who kept Shabbat. And I said to him, Professor, I'm going to have to wait. I'm going to have to wait until there are 3 stars in the sky to conduct that portion on the program. What did he do? He waited until intermission. He went outside, he checked the sky, and he comes back and he said, Michelle, I think it's time. I think you can now conduct your portion.
Wow.
And just, that fact that he was such a mensch to let me continue with my belief and not worry that people, the people will understand that I should hold on to my beliefs meant so much to me. So when I received this commission, I thought, well, I'm going to have to call it Kochavim. And what I did was I've been attaching it to various masterpieces in art that all have stars that are significant within them. And what we're trying to do now with the person that I'm collaborating with is to try and have these pieces performed at museums which hold those masterpieces, so that the wonderful violinist Matthew Heckerainen can actually play in front of each of those beautiful masterpieces.
Oh, it's wonderful. Well, this is just amazing. A pleasure to talk to you for
Thank you.
being a leader in our community. It's pretty amazing what you've done with a vision of the rabbi, that he had this idea and you found a way to turn it into something quite unique, something incredible. And so if you can hear them in person at Sinai Temple for Hanukkah or any other time, because who knows when we're listening to this, it's Kadai. It's really recommended, really beautiful.
Rabbi Averbuck, I want to thank you for including me today, because, and also for anyone who's listening, because to speak about Rabbi Schulweis and his vision and how he guided us and how he believed that a community that sings together stays together. And my soul is so enwrapped with singing. I feel that singing can get you out of any bad mood, can really carry your life forward. And he's shaped my life and so many of the lives of various children and families, the way their parents connected with each other. It's just been, an honor for me to carry this forward and to share this sound of this community that we hope to keep building.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And hope to see you for good things in the future as well. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. You too. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Moral Courage podcast. We are produced by the Harold M. Schulweis Institute at Valley Beth Shalom, which supports these podcasts in addition to educational programs within Valley Beth Shalom, the Schulweis Library, changing exhibitions at the Liner Chapel at VBS, Jewish World Watch, and the Jewish Community Children's Choir. The Moral Courage podcast is hosted by Rabbi Ari Averbach. Our consulting producer is Esther Kostanowitz. Our technical producer is Eric Weiser. We are grateful for the support of the Institute and Haley Lazitsky-Weiser at SADCON Productions. To learn more about Rabbi Schulweis or to make a donation to help support these podcasts, visit the Institute website at hmsi.info.